I really don't know where guys get their dating mentorship from. I think that that's very important.
Ooh.
I don't know if that like they talk amongst their guy friends and they talk about how relationships are for them or what they should be doing or what it should be like, or if these are things that they pick up from their parents, their fathers talk to them about how they should be treating a woman in a relationship. Like, I don't know where they get their mentorship from.
What?
Any idea?
I have actually been going to ChatGPT, like, honestly, for dating. Dating fatigue is real. 72% of single women say they're tired of emotionally mentoring the men they date.
What does that look like? That's my question.
To be honest, it is fucking exhausting because, I mean, I don't think that I've dated a lot of people, but I think that I have enough, like, experience to know things, and sometimes having to be like, okay, well, you should be doing this, or you should, that is exhausting because, all right, next caller.
No, I have a question. I'm sorry, can you go back to that, Alan? What does that mentorship look like? So if you're a person that's complaining about that, like, what does that look like?
And that's why it's exhausting for me, because I'm the type of person that don't feel like they need to be mentoring anybody at this big old age.
Let me break something down to you guys real quick. I find it fascinating. I mean, y'all know that I find it fascinating to just watch people talk about things, because when you watch and you listen very closely to what is incentivizing them to answer certain questions in a particular way, you can unpack a lot about them. Both of the bald-headed young ladies before us have two different styles of interpreting information. Pay attention. Let's read. Dating fatigue is real. 72% of single women say that they are tired of emotionally mentoring the men that they date. This lovely young lady before us at least wants to understand a little bit more about what is being stated, as opposed to this lovely young lady just goes into I'm a victim complaining mode. Now, without even trying to understand, ask questions, or to interpret, read the article, but instead she's going off of the clickfulness of the headline, and she's agreeing with it as if the author of this article has read her horoscope. That is a dangerous lack of interpretation or critical thinking skills that helps me understand that that lady is just a surface level thinker. But kudos for this one for at least giving thinking a shot. Now, she makes a good point right here. What does emotionally mentoring even mean? Because mentors are people that you go to because maybe they have a talent, a skill set, an educational background in something that you may not have, and you're accessing them in order to get more information on how to do whatever they do well correctly. So the way that this is framed is to say that, well, the women are now tired because the women have the answers of how to be emotional. And with that logic, this reads as if women are the best understanders or interpreters of how emotions within a relationship should be dealt with, and instead of allowing a man to represent himself within his emotional capabilities, she, the woman, is the basis of all emotions. This is the type of content that clueless young modern women will utilize within their discussion nights, their girl nights, when they talk about men. These women will define to a man what is it to be a real man without a consideration that we are two different beings. This is feminist propaganda at its finest and demonstrates the division of understanding what a woman is versus what a man is and how we interpret information being presented to us. Men are not going to get deep, masculine men are not going to get deep down in their feelings and just consider like all of this. How does this make me feel about something, right? Like have a little cute little cry. Meanwhile, the reality is that behavior makes most women's viscous innards dry straight up into their hips. Yeah, so I just find it so interesting that through either lack of critical thinking or headline consumption, that this is the type of content that drives their conversations forward. But let's proceed.
Mentorship look like? So if you're a person that's complaining about that, like, what does that look like?
And that's why it's exhausting for me, because I'm the type of person that don't feel like they need to be mentoring anybody at this big old age. So I don't like to open my mouth and say, hey, I think that you should be doing this. And I require this, and now I know that part I should be doing, because if I require something and I like someone and they like me, then I should be telling them how they should be loving me and all of this and all of that. But it's just like the simple things. If you can't do the simple things, if I have to tell you how to do the simple thing, maybe you're not for me. Because
This is horrific.
Do you find that like that is a common thread amongst males?
Here we go.
I guess in your dating age
Watch.
group.
Yes. And I say that just from knowing guys I'm friends with.
Shut up. Mind you, she's never defined emotional mentoring. She just agrees with the title. Guys, let me also tell you something. If you want to dive deep and have conversations, whatever niche of topic that you guys are talking about, one of the fundamental misunderstandings between two people debating is definitions of words. When someone says something to you that is jargon, that is rhetoric, unless you agree on the definition of the word, you both can be interpreting it wildly differently. And we often see this is that she's interpreting it based off of the biases of how she feels that men have treated her in her past, and instead attribute something or a behavior type to all men that she's ever encountered. This is loser behavior, simply blaming men in your space without, in reality, assessment or critical thought about how your movements have contributed to the way that they treat you is one of the biggest mistakes that I see women like this will make time and time and time again, for the inability to hold yourself accountable within that. Meanwhile, demonstrating either truthfully or not truthfully the type of man that you always ascend to is baffling to me. Because think of it like this. If most men that you encounter, you find are emotionally not there. Let's say that that's the truth. Could it be that perhaps your standard for what a masculine man is supposed to be is not reality? If most men exhibit the same types of behavior, is it you trying to fix them into what your definition of a real man is? Or is that how most men operate and you just fail to see that and understand that, or change how you operate based off of the biological reality, not the reality that you've created in your head, multiplied with the sister code that has instructed you what a real man should also be. Quick emergency meeting. I was recently searching for my name online and found way too much personal information, which brought me down this weird rabbit hole of how that could have happened, and found out that there's companies out there called data brokers that will sell your data to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And it's a nasty, disgusting feeling knowing that there's bad actors out there selling my information, selling your information for profit. But that's why I'm recommending today's sponsor, Aura. Now, I use Aura to automatically remove my information from these sites and keep my information off. But they do other things as well, such as bank fraud and identity theft alerts, VPN access. But guys, utilize my link down in the description box down below for a 14-day trial. At least see if you've been compromised. Privacy is king in this day and age, and you should know if your information is out there. So again, utilize my link, aura.com/MTR, in the description box down below to try 2 weeks free. That's way more than enough time to see if your personal data has been exposed. Go now. Let's proceed.
Other friends and their dating situations, because I don't let too many people talk to me. So it's not like I don't like have this like reoccurring like dating scene or whatever, just from what I hear around like my peers and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it seems to be reoccurring. And I don't know. I really don't know where guys get their dating mentorship from. I think that that's very important.
Ooh. That's a good question.
Yeah, because I don't know if that like they talk amongst their guy friends and they talk about like how relationships are for them or what they should be doing or what it should be like, or if these are things that they pick up from their parents and not just like trying to replicate what their parents' relationship was, but like if their fathers talk to them about how they should be treating a woman in a relationship. Like, I don't know where they get
Dog.
their mentorship from.
What?
Any idea?
I have
Dog.
actually been going to Chat GBT, like,
Oh.
honestly, for dating. Like, what should
Nah, you can't make this up. I'm sorry. She didn't just say she goes to the chat GPT to find the answer for this.
GBT, like, honestly, for dating, like,
Yo, we
what
cooked.
should I be doing, or what should I say when I want to ask?
You
That is
lying.
not the input that needs.
No, honestly,
We're cooked.
good answers.
Yeah, okay, we're cooked. Send the asteroid, please, young ladies that are down in here watching this content. Is that what y'all are doing right now? Y'all are going to chat GPT in order to find dating questions and answers, and you go into the AI, but then at the same time, you have to query chat GPT to find out things about men, right? So either you are so good at your mentorship and men should listen to you, or you don't know what the hell that you're talking about, and now you're going to go to an artificial intelligence in order to find out information about men. What is this? You cannot make this up, baby. We cooked. Is this what's going on in the streets? Imagine being so disconnected and so disjointed from the opposite sex that you can't even find out information like that from. And the answer is that it just depends on that man. It depends on his family upbringing. It depends on what he watched growing up. It depends on his closeness of his father, right? It depends on the community circle, the relationship circle, right? Like, it just depends. It's going to be different from person to person, but you're going to figure out that stuff by intelligently asking questions as you get to know this person of where did they get the direction, the information in their life. But just like I said before, there was a lack of the ability to critically think, so she offshores it to ChatGPT.
Good answers, because sometimes I'm just like, how are boys this, like,
But do you understand how that works? Like, so that is literally the response that they're shooting out is based on a number of other people,
right? It's
talking about that exact same thing, complaining to Chat GPT. So they're like finding the most common thing, and then that's how they're responding. So it's not necessarily like, oh, it's right.
She thinks better.
It might make sense, but it might make sense because that's the other shit you're hearing. And that's what the input is. Like, the shit comes from somewhere. That's, people don't understand it. Like, Chat GPT, like, the input comes from just other people. That's literally where it comes from. Just other people.
I'm not mad at that.
I mean,
I'm not mad at that, because if I don't know some shit and I'm asking the computer for some shit and they give me options for a reply, because I actually do like that they did that. Like, I asked, what do I say if so and so and so? And they gave me a different kind of responses, like, oh, this is a sweet and gentle response. This is a very this is a very forward response, and I liked that. And I was like, okay, that's cool.
God bless her heart. Listen, I'm being kind of hard on this one right here, but there's a place in the world for everybody, all right? Not everybody has been blessed with the gift of critical thinking, but unfortunately, for all of the fathers out here, if your daughter displays this degree of critical thinking, then it's easier for her to get tricked. It's just easy for her to believe some words that a guy says, and then she comes up off them viscous innards, thus adding more trauma into her life through the exchange of her body, through men that never cared about her, but was just able to speak more appropriate words to her. They're able to game her up more readily, more easily, as opposed to a young lady that can critically. That's why I try to push critical thinking so much on the channel, because of the importance of interpreting information around you so that you can live a more successful, fulfilling, and consequence-free life. You should not be a 30-plus-year-old woman with middle school to high school level interpretation and critical thinking skills.
Cool. I probably wouldn't say that, so maybe not. And, you know, I liked it. That was cool with me.
The only difference with that is, like, you're giving an input. You're like, hey, I want to say X. Make this softer. That's not necessary. Whereas, and that I think is fine.
Right.
You have people who are literally saying, well, hey,
it's totally unrelated.
How should I handle X, Y, and Z? In those type of situations where you're giving like seemingly subjective responses, I think that's where it's problematic. Because all they're doing is like taking, I won't say the average, but like just the most common response to that particular prompt and they're just going to regurgitate it to you.
Yeah, I understand.
No, you don't. No, this is calculus to a kindergartner. Right? That's what's happening.
I don't know.
She's
what
tired
it is.
of explaining.
And the thing is that I think so. I am not saying that I'm against ChatGPT or AI or whatever. I'm just saying I think that a lot of us don't know how the responses are curated.
Okay, all right,
guys.
All right, I'm gonna leave a link to this down in the description box down below. Listen, I need y'all to understand. I know this conversation went a lot of different ways, right? If you're a young G that's listening to this content, all right, her ability to be led, her ability to be taught something, and her ability or want of continuous learning and improvement is some of the best qualities that you could try to look for, because then everything else will fall into line, right? These are the intangibles that will help them take a look at things that are happening in reality to be able to better understand, if not interpret, the things that are happening, to either aid or support within your life, or to correctly look at information and determine the best course of action with it, right? And I just see young women that will look at headlines like this, right? Like, no wonder women divorce more often than not because then there's so much information that hits their eyes. And there's so much TV shows. There's so much media. There's so much. Apparently ChatGPT now too is being accesses information, but there's so much. So if they don't have the ability, right, like then they're going to give in to whatever short-term gratification that the headline or the topic of the article are trying to push, or like the tagline of the magazine, this, that. The depth of the interpretation just will not be there. And in fact, they are more in a position to get taken advantage of that information. And we already know, like, once you look at, what the constant narrative is, it is not towards together. It's not towards family. Like, it's not towards strength through intelligence, serious critical thinking skills, right? So it's like, what are the things that you are doing in order to disambiguate, right, the short-term mindsets versus the long-term mindsets? Because I think most people would take a look at an article like that and say to themselves, what's the layers underneath this? What could actually be happening underneath this? Now, do understand is that my interpretation, at least at the headline level, doesn't mean that, there are not men out there that don't know how to deal with or handle their emotions in a highly capable way. I am not saying that by any stretch means an imagination. In fact, so much of my content focuses on responding to situations versus reacting, intelligently responding, right? Calmly responding, holding frame throughout that response. But I do think that because we're different, and in the context of society, men and women are held to different standards, that a woman teaching a man or mentoring a man about his emotional maturity, right? Like, it's not going to come with the same grounding or understanding as if an older man can do that to a younger man. Very similarly to how a single mother may advertently or inadvertently teach a young boy to operate in more of a female paradigm, which we see those young boys grow up and they are the wildest amongst us, because it is a standard in our society that women emotionally crashing out, right? Like, it's more accepted. How many times do y'all see up on the Instagram some chick who places up a camera perfectly as she's crying into the camera about some dumb shit, right? Like, that's normalized for them. They can do that for them. But for men, we are to be held to a different emotional standard because we are the ones that have to defend against the enemy at the gate, both from a proverbial perspective as well as a physical perspective. So there's different standards. Now, for a couple of ladies out there that are still listening, I will also say that the idea or the ability to lead amongst men is something that's been shifting as of late. But don't worry, I'm working on them, right? I'm continuing to work on them and redefining kind of what this definition is. But if you find yourself continuously choosing the ones that are as indecisive in their leadership, then that is a picking problem, because they're out there. All right. But all right, guys, that's all that I got for this particular piece of content right here. Leave me your questions, comments, concerns down up in the comment box down below. And to be honest with you, I didn't know where this conversation was going to go before we put it on. And we will see what type of conversation that it stirs. But I appreciate you guys. I love you. If you agreed or you disagreed with any of my points and positions, write them down up in the comment box down below so we can encroach on this very valuable conversation. And until next time, peace.
So without further ado, MTR, cut through the BS like we in charge. No cap with the rappers like steel bars. I'm packing and rapping like here we are. Mediocre tutorial reviews. Like, comment, share my views. Come up and I paid my dues. Big step in my black way shoes. MTR, he break it down, yeah, it's MTR. Check out the sound with his MTR. No one put it down like it's MTR.